All right, so let's talk about the things that I wear pretty much for every run and definitely every race. So these do not change, and they're pretty much a staple for me. Please excuse the tripod, it's best way I can show you everything. So I've got the Garmin Fenix 5X. I bought this watch about a year ago for its map functionality. I do occasionally use the maps, but most of the time I'm just using it to show me data fields. So you don't need a watch like this, but you know, for me, I like it. It was an upgrade from the Forerunner 245 I had before, but that is still a solid watch. So this is what I use day to day now. In terms of the shorts, this is the Salomon S-Lab shorts. They're twin skin shorts. They have compression element underneath them, and at the top here it's got a 360 band. There are 5 pockets, so 1 at the front, 2 at the back and 2 at the sides. I don't tend to really fill the pockets with too much, but it's an option that's available to me. I've been using Compress Sports calf sleeves for a while. You can see here these are the relatively new ones, and they've already got a hole in, which is a bit disappointing, but I use these on my day-to-day runs. And yeah, and some people use calf sleeves, some people don't, but I use them pretty religiously. I've actually got a new pair of these for an upcoming 50 miler, but for now they'll serve their purpose. I've always used DryMax socks for my ultra running. When I used to run marathons, I used to use hilly socks and stance socks, but for me, DryMax, fantastic. These are the Ellie version. There's a few different ones. There are some ankle high ones, there are some knee high ones, all sorts of different ones you can get. But a fantastic, comfortable pair of socks. And they're anything from sort of £11 for a pair of socks up to £35 for blister protection and so on and so forth. So I use these ones predominantly, and you'll see another pair coming up shortly as well. Now, with my feet and legs, to make sure that I'm not rubbing with any of these things that are on there, Squirrels nut butter, I use this. Again, used to use Body Glide. I just found it a bit kind of clunky, whereas this is pretty good. If you make sure you warm it up, you can just rub that into your hands pretty easily. Put it all over my toes. I've actually put it on the inner part of my knee as well, because sometimes your knees rub during a race, and you'll be surprised how annoying that can be, especially when you get sort of hot and sweaty. Now, undergarments, again, I'm talking about things I used to use because there's a bit of a transition that I made about a year ago to having this as a pretty consistent kit. These are just kind of Reebok sports briefs. Nothing too fancy about them. They're not necessarily made for the purpose of running, but they are really comfortable. And I moved away from underwear, which I started to find were quite irritating. And you don't want that. Now, I love the Salomon Xa Cap. You might have seen this feature pretty much all my videos when it's a nice day. This is a waterproof peak. So this is my white version here. Reflects the light, UV, all that kind of stuff, very, very breathable down the side. You might have seen the blue ones in some of my videos as well. Pretty cheap cap. I did a review on them actually. I think they're fantastic, the best you can get for your money. And then I've got this naked band, which has been really through the walls with me. You can see it's all starting to kind of peel apart and fray, and this is where I keep the majority of my stuff. So I might have a mobile phone in there, keys in there, GoPro in there. And the reason I've got these 3 gels is because typically in a long race, I'll make sure I've always got gels on my person available to me, especially in the band. I don't tend to keep everything in a vest. I don't always wear a vest, but in terms of this 50k coming up, I will wear a vest, and that's where the remainder of my gels will be, but I'll have 3 up front. And gels, I've moved to Unived. These are not all the flavours that I have, but these are the ones that I've got to hand at the moment. Vanilla orange, salted caramel is also a mint chocolate one I've got. It's nice to have a variety of flavours. I don't actually like the lime one or the cherry one, but each their own. So that's what it looks like kind of from waist down, what I'm carrying, what I'm wearing, and of course the hat. That's not going on my waist. But the reason why I put that here is because actually what I tend to do early on in the race, if I don't need it, I clip it onto the naked band here, just unclip it at the back and put it on so it's kind of down by my side. It's not always appropriate to start off, especially if races maybe start us in the dark and you need to have a head torch. The 50k won't be applicable to do that, but I put it there just to show you that it's actually a bit of versatility, and I do not always keep it on my head. So with that said and done, let's move on to now the top half, including the shirt and what I'm wearing in my pack. Okay, so for the 50k, I'm actually going to be wearing the kit that I'll be using for the 50 miler. And so because of that, it's a mandatory kit here that you're probably thinking, why are you taking that with you on a warm day? Well, the idea of the 50k is a warm-up for the 50 miler, so I carry everything with me that I'll need for the North Downs Way 50. So let's first of all talk a little bit about the shirt we're wearing. You might have seen me experiment with this recently. It's a really, really breathable Salomon S-Lab vest. It's actually got full shoulders rather than singlet style, and because of that, it allows me to wear the vest more comfortably. This may not necessarily feature, but this is what I'm planning to use. Obviously, if the day is slightly different or slightly cooler, I'll wear more of a short sleeve shirt. But the Salomon S-Lab vest, lovely, lovely piece of kit. And then we come on to the race vest itself. This is a black diamond distance 4 vest. Did a review on the channel. If you're interested in having a look at that, you're welcome to do so. I'll put a link down below. In the distance 4 pack, in this reverse section here is where I put mandatory kit. So I've got the OMM Halo jacket. You can see here it does up and leaves a little hole for your face. You look a bit like Kenny from South Park, so that's that there. Have to take a long sleeve base layer, a simple first aid kit in there with plasters and things I might need, the old blanket and so on and so forth, and I take a spare pair of socks, just because sometimes if the socks are rubbing, that's an issue. It's nice to have a nice clean pair, especially if you maybe get your feet wet. So that is mandatory kit that's going to be going into the back of that vest. I wouldn't need that typically for the 50k, but like I said, it's for a practice for the 50 miler. Given that we've now got warmer conditions, these are the SaltStick electrolyte Fastchews. I choose to have these because they're really nice and easy to take on board. When you look at the details of what you're supposed to do with them, it suggests to take 2 tablets every 15 to 30 minutes during physical activity. I take them out of the pot and put them into a small Ziploc bag, nice and easy to take on board. So depending on the day, that's important. It's more about, again, not necessarily to do with whether it's sunny or not, but certainly to do with the temperature. They've got my 2 bottles of Black Diamond. 1 bottle I always make sure I put Tailwind in. This is the kind of naked, unflavoured version. Sometimes it can be really, really sweet. You don't want too much of a sweet taste in your mouth. When you add the gels in as well, that can be a little bit, yeah, a little bit of a bore. So typically I'd use a caffeinated green tea. This is the naked one, like I've just mentioned there. So that goes in one of the flasks, and then the other flask there will be water. And then I would normally have in my pack maybe another 2 of those, just to have as backup. For the 50 miler, I might take a couple more. And then I have also been taking with me this Ultimate Direction clutch with just a 500ml bottle inside. It's good for having additional gel capacity if you need them, and they're straight in your hand. This just means I can be self-sufficient. So on my recent 40k run, I took my vest fully loaded in this as well, and it was more than enough fluid to get through the experience. So that's a kind of extra add-on, and I might well take that with me on the day. And then I have a Cliff Bar. Obviously flavours may vary, but this is quite nice as sort of a more of a real food. I mean, it's not the greatest for you. They're pretty poor for you actually, and there's not a lot of protein, this, that and the other, but it's quite nice to have something a bit more solid. So that's what it looks like in terms of my kind of kit for the day. So there's quite a few bits and pieces there. Like I say, if you're racing the 50k, normally all of that to one side, the SaltSticks, not included in that, all this additional clothing would not need to be there, and potentially don't need to wear the vest. But that's what I'm going to be taking with me for my 50k. Any questions, let me know down below.